So, first of all, thank you very much for everyone for coming. And I'd like to thank you for agreeing to take part in it. And you've been asked to participate because, as I explained, trying to get a rank and difference of opinion and different of age, experience and ranks is important to what I'm trying to look at. But as well as that, I'm really interested in hearing your opinion. So as I said, there's absolutely no right or wrong answer. This is just about what you think and what you feel about the questions I'm going to ask you. And it's going to help me, obviously, for my thesis, which I have to do for this lovely course here. So the focus group discussion is designed to explore your understanding about emerging perspectives on sexual exploitation and abuse by peacekeepers, okay? And the discussion will take about 30 minutes. And with your permission, I'd like to record it just to ensure that I have all the correct notes.
Okay.
But even though I'm going to record it, it'll be anonymous. So you'll all be given a code. So what I'll talk about is maybe a senior female NCO. That's the level of detail I'm going to get to. I won't say where you're stationed, so it'll just be kept. The other thing is all the stuff you fill in, any of the transcriptions, any of the recordings, as soon as my research is finished, I'll destroy them. Okay, so there'll be no record of them. If at any stage you want to have a look at the transcripts or you want me to email them to you and you want to have a look at it, there's no problem. Just come back to me and I'll send them to you and you can have a look and make sure that you're happy with what you said. The questions, just try and answer them as honestly as you can. That's the only thing I'd ask. As I said, there's no right or wrong answer, so you can't get the question wrong. But it's important that I actually get your opinions and what you really think about it. I suppose ground rules, there's only 3 of you, so just I'd ask that you don't speak over each other because the tape recorder won't pick it up. So just one at a time, that'd be great. And if you have something to say, there's no problem. Just, I can just catch my eye and I'll let you in. And you don't have to agree with what's been said in the group. The whole idea is that because you have such different experiences, that hopefully you won't all agree and you will have seen different things. So that's part of what I'm looking for. So does anyone have any questions?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. And look, so I suppose the first thing to do is I'm actually going to define, and it goes back to what you were saying about what is it. So I'm going to tell you the UN's definition. And then, so when we're talking about it, you can kind of think, I'll actually leave a copy of it in front of you. So if you want to pull it over and have a look at any stage. So sexual exploitation, right? It says it's any actual or attempted abuse of position of vulnerability, differential power or trust for sexual purposes, including but not limited to profiting monetarily, socially or politically from the sexual exploitation of another. So sexual exploitation encompasses transactional sex, solicitation of transactional sex and exploitative relationships. So in plain English, what that means is if, as a UN peacekeeper, they are in a position of power, sexual exploitation is whereby they use that power to get somebody else to do something of a sexual nature. So whether that's prostitution, whether that's having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or whether it's looking to try and buy sex, that's exploitation. So sexual abuse then is slightly different. It's the actual or threatened physical intrusion of a sexual nature, whether by force or under unequal or coercive conditions. Okay? So that would be rape. It would be sexual assault. It would be blackmailing somebody. So it's more abuse as opposed to exploiting them. But the only thing is, it should be noted that all sexual activity with a child under the 18 is considered abuse. Okay? So sexual exploitation and abuse then is any time a peacekeeper does anything against all these. You happy enough with that?
Yeah.
Okay, and the only other thing then to explain is the UN have what's called a zero tolerance approach. And all that means is the UN say that there is no tolerance to any of this stuff. It is completely forbidden in all circumstances. So all forms of sexual exploitation and all forms of sexual abuse are completely forbidden under UN law.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're happy enough with that. As I said, I'll leave that there and you can have a look at it at any stage if you want to just double check yourself. I know that it's quite a wordy definition. So if you have any questions on it, I can...
No,
you're happy enough?
Yeah, happy enough. I knew what it was, but wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah. And as I said, that wouldn't really help anyone, that explanation.
No.
Okay, so I suppose the first question is, do you believe that sexual exploitation and abuse is an issue for the UN?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Well, my own experiences overseas, they do have whorehouses there where I would know a certain amount of people would go in and exploit, like go in and pay for it. So as you were saying, paying for it, or so it has happened. And my first trip overseas, when we go to a beach or anywhere, you would have women coming up and asking, do you want to see my boobs for $2, or asking the lads, I'll give you a blowjob for $5.
Okay, and where was that, if you don't mind my asking?
That's in Liberia.
Okay.
So in Liberia, it's everywhere. And the men used to actually come up to me and ask me to go to private beaches with them. So.
As in the local men?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I haven't come across something like that. I was only on one trip last year, and it was...
And where were you? Where was that
trip? It was Undoff, so we were fairly confined there.
Okay.
I would say I was on 3 trips, 2 to Lebanon, 1 to Chad. Chad was a lockdown camp, so we weren't anywhere. My first trip, I was a private on it, and when we crossed the border to go into Nahari or Netanya, absolutely Black Mary, I think her name was, I'm not sure. She used to hang around the corner and offer sex to the men.
Okay.
And it was taken advantage of.
Okay.
100%.
So I was saying, my original thing was about the UN. So now if we move down to Irish, do you think then it's an issue for Irish soldiers? Are you talking about other nations or Irish? Or?
Like I'm talking about Irish soldiers, and I'd say...
And serving soldiers with...
Yeah, with the Irish, but I'd say that other people or other actual nations and stuff like that would probably be worse than what our lads would be.
Yeah.
Because over there they're very poor and they're very vulnerable, so they will actually do anything for money.
The local people?
Yeah.
That's true.
Men or women, even kids.
Okay. And would that be your experience as well, Sue?
Well, really and truly, I did see 1 or 2 Irish. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because there was a big ramp up about this, saying that this girl would offer anything, $5 covered everything.
Okay.
And a few of the guys, very wary because they didn't get diseases, bringing home to their families, the whole lot. You would see 1 or 2, but they were single. I didn't actually see married men going in. I did see single guys, but not as much. The younger crowd, not the older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being honest there.
Yeah.
And look, I appreciate, I know it's not always easy to talk about sexual things, so look, thanks for that. What do you think then the Defence Forces need to be most worried about? I mean, you touched on a few there, of what you were being told, but what do you think, as a Defence Forces, we need to kind of consider about sexual exploitation and abuse? Like, what could be the damage it could cause?
Well, families. It's bringing home diseases to the wives, passing on to the children, or even if the wife is pregnant. This is what, for me, that would be the biggest worry, what they're going to contact and what they're going to bring home. Like, I'm not going to mention a name, but we had a chef on the trip with us, and he was messing around overseas. He didn't know he had anything until he went on his 2nd trip, and when he got home, he booked into a hotel and he left a suicide note because he had caught AIDS.
Okay.
Alright, so he hung himself to take away the shame and take away from his family. But that's how bad it was.
Yeah, and I would have heard that story as well.
You would if you know exactly who I'm talking about.
And I suppose that is a really extreme example of the damage it can do.
Severe damage, He couldn't handle it. He knew what he had done wrong, he couldn't handle it, and that's it.
Rebecca, would you have heard of anything like that, or?
I suppose you hear stories. No, I haven't heard anything as bad as that. I didn't hear any stories from, let's say, my trip overseas, but you do hear the thing of, like, in the Lebanon, lads hopping the walls and off they go, and they'll come back the next morning before parade or whatever.
CC Beach.
Yeah.
They knew exactly where to get out. There was lads that built a boat, tried to get out that way.
Okay. So, can you think of any other, I suppose harm is the word I would use to describe it, any other harm that can be done through sexual exploitation and abuse, whether to the Defence Forces or anybody else? I mean, you obviously pointed out the families.
I think the people themselves, like, a lot of them probably are put into prostitution over there. Like, you'd see the younger kind of, like, some of the women would be beautiful over there. A lot of them probably don't want to do it themselves, so themselves are harmed, if you know what I mean. Like, they don't want to do it, they're forced into it.
There's actually a term for that, it's called survival sex.
It is.
Yeah. And it's actually, I hadn't come across it until, and that you do it for you to survive, or sometimes if a woman has children, she might sell her body to feed the children to get money, so...
It's not their body that's actually being destroyed. I'd say a woman's mind would, if they had to do that, if you're being sexually exploited.
But from, I say, military